Okay, let's just jump right in. We are doing a deep dive today into what is, it's arguably the most volatile environment in all of professional sports right now.
Oh, absolutely. The Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Toronto Maple Leafs, a franchise just completely defined by this one single colossal weight of unfulfilled potential.
And it's been decades. We're talking nearly 6 decades without a Stanley Cup. And right now, the whole organization feels like it's in this high-stakes, all-or-nothing poker game.
The status report is pretty grim. Our sources describe the Leafs as drowning in mediocrity, and as of December 22nd, they are sitting dead last in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah.
But the mission here for you, the listener, is to really unpack this stunning decision that GM Brad Treliving is reportedly making, which is to stand pat.
To do nothing.
Absolutely nothing. No changes to the coaching staff, no roster moves, even with this overwhelming fan fury and, a miserable record.
It really is the ultimate test for an organization. We're going to be analyzing the internal dynamics, the fan sentiment, and all the complex calculations that lead to this kind of decision.
Is it conviction or is it collapse?
That's the question. And we're drawing from video transcripts, internal reports, all detailing this just brutal stretch of games to give you the full picture.
So let's start with that cold, hard reality on the ice. Last place in the Atlantic Division. For a team with this talent, this payroll, it's just unacceptable.
Unacceptable is, I think, an understatement. Their record is 15-15-5, 15 wins, 15 losses, 5 overtime losses.
A perfectly .500 team.
In a league this tight, especially in the East, being a .500 team at this point in the season means you're basically sliding towards being irrelevant.
And it's the recent slide that has really, amplified this fan revolt. They just got completely dismantled by the Dallas Stars, 5-1.
That was their 3rd straight loss.
And if you zoom out to their last 10 games, they're 4-4-2. The source material calls it the very definition of mediocrity, and it's perfect. They look like they're stuck in quicksand.
And to really get the depth of this crisis, you have to understand the market. Coaching the Leafs, managing the Leafs, it's the most scrutinized job in the entire NHL.
Oh, for sure.
Every single decision, every line change, it's all put under a microscope because that enormous weight of the championship drought. It goes all the way back to 1967. This market does not tolerate mediocrity.
Not at all, and you can see that in the social media reaction. The sources say the digital world is ablaze with fans demanding heads on pikes. It's not just frustration anymore, it's an open revolt.
And the main target, the primary target, is clearly the head coach, Craig Berube. The phrase you see trending everywhere is "fire Berube."
Yep.
The fan consensus is pretty clear. This Craig Berube experiment is just not working. There's this feeling that his system is just fundamentally broken for these players.
And that gets us to the really fascinating part of this, right? The why. Why is this experiment failing? Because you hire a coach with Berube's pedigree.
You expect results.
You expect immediate results. But what we're seeing instead is this fundamental philosophical mismatch right there on the ice.
That really is the core of the conflict. Berube was brought in specifically to fix what everyone thought was wrong with the old teams. Softness, no defensive structure, mental weakness in the playoff.
Right. He's the culture changer.
He is. He comes in with this gleaming resume. He's a Stanley Cup champion with the St. Louis Blues, and he's known for instilling discipline, grit, and a winning culture.
That's the theory. But the reality is that what worked in St. Louis isn't always going to translate to Toronto. That message might feel like a straitjacket to these particular stars.
And that's where the system clashes with the players. Just look at the roster. It is built on elite offensive firepower.
Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander.
Exactly. We're talking about creative forwards, elite playmakers who need open ice to do what they do best. They thrive in quick transition using their speed and their skill.
Okay, now contrast that with Berube's whole philosophy. He emphasizes structure, defensive responsibility, a grinding, low-event style of hockey.
It's all about limiting risks. It's about accountability in your own zone. He demands these low-cycle shifts, getting the puck in deep, a commitment to dump and chase.
Which it neutralizes the biggest advantage the Leafs have.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
You're taking away the transition speed of guys like Marner and Matthews. You're forcing this high-speed creative offense into a grinded-out system.
So they're spending all their energy fighting for pucks along the boards instead of, generating speed through the neutral zone. It really is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole with a sledgehammer.
The fans see it so clearly. We found that one quote that just cuts right to the heart of it. His systems do not work with the Leafs' best players. The frustration is watching generational talent being actively held back by a system that prioritizes defense over, detonation.
So after a 5-1 loss like that, you'd think the coach would come out and just tear into his team, right? Demand more?
You would.
But Berube's post-game comments after that Dallas game, they revealed this really stunning paradox. He actually said the team was playing well.
Yeah, this is where it gets really nuanced, and it speaks to that conflict between process and results. Berube told the media, and I'm quoting, "I really liked our game through 2 periods."
How can you, like, a game you lost 5-1? That's the comment that just sends the fan base into orbit.
Well, he tried to explain. He defended the structure, saying, "I thought we defended extremely well tonight. We didn't give up much." He's trying so hard to hold the team's confidence together.
So he's focusing on the process, not the outcome?
Right, but to the fans, that just looks like delusional rationalization.
But what's so vital here is that the underlying numbers, the metrics, they actually sort of back him up.
They do, somewhat. If you dive into the analytics, the data shows their expected goals for percentage, their XGF percent. It's still pretty high.
Which means, based on shot quality and quantity, they should be winning more games.
They're generating high-danger looks, in theory. So the data is telling them, just keep going, the bounces are going to come.
But they're not coming.
They're not. And the flip side is that their shooting percentage, their SH percent, has completely cratered, which suggests either, an unsustainable run of just awful luck.
Or they're just running into incredible goaltending every single night, like Jake Oettinger in Dallas just stonewalling everything.
Exactly. Hockey is a game of these razor-thin margins. And it's a brutal management challenge. I mean, the harsh truth is that in pro sports, playing well without winning is just a fancy way of losing.
Yeah, moral victories don't get you any points in the standings.
Not one. And the confidence just drains away when the metrics don't turn into wins.
And we even heard Scott Laughton, echoing his coach. He said, "I thought we were better for sure. Just couldn't get one to go when we needed it." They feel close.
But being close in Toronto just leads to panic.
Which brings us to the single most stunning piece of news in this whole saga.
The decision from the top. The moment of truth. What is Brad Treliving actually doing about this?
Well, according to reports, including one from Maple Leafs insider Nick Albera, the organization's preference, is emphatically not to make a coaching change.
Wow.
Brad Treliving is reportedly ready to ride this out with Berube. He is betting his job on this coach turning the ship around.
He's choosing conviction over panic.
For now. Albera did add that crucial caveat, right? Things can change quickly if the losses keep piling up. But the organizational directive is clear. Stand pat.
He is walking a tightrope over a pit of pure fan fury.
And this is either going to be seen as organizational genius of the highest order or just a career-defining mistake. So we have to ask, why is he taking this incredible gamble? Okay, let's break down his thinking. Number one has to be the Stanley Cup pedigree.
Right.
Berube has been to the mountaintop. He knows what it takes. Firing him now is basically admitting your huge high-profile hire was a mistake. And GMs hate admitting mistakes.
He can end a career faster than a losing streak can. Okay, what's number 2?
The second factor is just timing. I mean, the season isn't even at the halfway point. There's still 47 games left. Firing a coach in late December, that sends a message of pure, unadulterated panic.
He wants to project stability, not chaos. I get that.
Exactly. And the third point, and this is where I get a little skeptical, is the question of alternatives.
The who else is out there argument.
Right. I mean, in a crisis, isn't lack of alternatives just a nice way of saying we're stuck?
It's a fair point. But the sources do note that finding a better fit right now isn't simple. You need someone who can, somehow maximize the Ealing talent.
Let Marner and Matthews be creative.
And instill that defensive accountability that Berube was hired for. That's a unicorn. Firing Ruby now likely means you get a temporary stopgap and you just write the season off.
So Treliving is gambling that the short-term pain is worth the long-term gain, that Berube will eventually get this championship-level discipline to stick. It's a very patient approach for a spectacularly impatient market.
It requires immense self-control. But here's the counter-argument. This is what has to be keeping him up at night. What if the system really is just incompatible?
And if it never clicks?
What if it never clicks? Or worse, what if the locker room has just already tuned the coach out completely?
I can't imagine the exhaustion Berube must feel, knowing every single shift, every word is being debated by an entire city. Treliving has chosen loyalty for now, but there's an immediate pressure point coming.
And it is coming immediately. The Leafs host the Pittsburgh Penguins tomorrow afternoon, a matinee game.
And that game is going to serve as the next referendum on Berube's tenure. This isn't just another game on the schedule, it's an evaluation. Another loss, especially a bad one at home, could just completely shatter Treliving's rationale and force his hand, no matter what his preference is.
But a convincing win could buy Berube some much-needed breathing room. The clock is ticking, though, and the losses are mounting way too quickly.
So what does this all mean as we move forward? Toronto is deliberately choosing to trust its process, its leadership, instead of making a change just to appease the crowd.
And that takes real courage, conviction, and a willingness to absorb criticism.
This decision is going to define Brad Treliving's entire legacy. If Berube turns this around, if he blends his grit with their star power and they go on a playoff run, Treliving looks like a genius who kept his nerve when everyone else panicked.
But if this season continues to spiral, if that philosophical mismatch is just too great and they miss the playoffs,
then he'll be remembered as the GM who fiddled while Rome burned. He prioritized his own pride in a hire over the actual needs of the team.
we are strapped in for this ride.
Yeah.
The entire hockey world is watching to see if this leap of faith lands on solid ground or just crashes right through the ice.
And that leads us to the final crucial question you have to ask as this drama unfolds. Even if they manage to claw their way back into a playoff spot, is the damage already done?
That's the real question.
Has the emotional relationship between the coach and the stars, or maybe even more importantly, between the management and the fans, been irreparably fractured by this whole crisis and Treliving's stubbornness? Will the cost of that loyalty haunt this franchise long after this season is over and maybe taint any future success with the memory of this self-inflicted struggle? That's the real consequence Treliving is facing.